Hey everybody, great to have you back here in the fish tank. We've got some exciting news today, straight out of Denmark, for Minion Masters of course. So if you've been following along, last week we had a survey from the devs asking just generally what was people's opinion with regards to the bridge rules. Remember a year or so ago we had the changes where the back capping, the collision was removed. And the devs then released a survey last week, as I said, to get an idea of how we feel about it. And do we want to stick? Do we want to go back to where we were before? Or where we want to go in the future? Now, today we're going to look at the results of that survey. And a big shout out to everyone that took time to let the devs know what they think. And we'll have a look at the plans going forward. So, the first thing we're going to do is have a look at the survey results just very quickly. So, first graph, profile level, we can see that most people that answered were above level 100, which gives you an idea that most people that answered have a good grasp of the game. Right, the second question, the second graph here is which changes would you like to see? The red, the majority, is keep it as it is. I know that's different to what I just said, but hold tight. The orange is change, and the blue is revert. So, the majority is wanting something different, whether that's to revert or something new. So I think that's what the devs were looking out for. Was it going to be the majority to keep it, or the majority to either revert or change? And the majority, as you can see, only a small majority, but there's enough people that want it reverted or changed. And then the last graph here is, as they say, if the majority turns out to revert or change, which changes would you like? And you can see there's quite a spread here. So green, which is the most prominent answer. New feature, bridges are capped when a minion crosses to the other side of the bridge. So these were the ideas that were put. The second most responded there is bring collision and back capping back. Red was bringing just pushing back the collision. Blue was just the back capping where you play units on it. And the purple was something else. So, as said, the majority wanted something new or reverted. So, let's find out what the devs have decided that they're going to do. Or at least their proposal. So what they're going to do is that we'll go through their proposal, and then there's another survey to let the devs know what you think about that proposal. And then assuming that the proposal gets a thumbs up from the community overall, then we'll be looking at putting it into the game. And let me just double check something, because I want to make sure that I get it right. Looks like, assuming everything goes well, then they're going to be aiming for the 2.3 update. Now that's just kind of an initial date, not confirmed. Remember, we are 2.1 at the moment. 2.2 in a week or so, and then 2.3 as the next update that may contain these changes. But what are these changes? Okay, let's quickly switch across here to their conclusion survey they're talking about. Right, so let's just quickly go through what they've said here. So the results are very split, but there's enough people calling for change that we want to find a workable solution. Okay, so to try to find a compromise, they're going to suggest these changes. 1, we will revert both back capping and pushing units onto bridges with heavier units. So back capping and collision coming back. Remember, or you may not know, but all minions within Minion Masters have a hidden stat called weight. That's quite obvious what that is. And when you play units on top of each other, the weight factor of each of those depends, that calculates which one's going to get pushed away from the other. And as we know, you can use that pushing mechanic to push back onto a bridge. Right, so reverting both back capping and pushing bridges. So both playing minions directly on the bridge, so things like blood imps, for example, you could do that. Any sort of multi-minion minions, you could kind of do that. But then the second change, we will make it so that any side will not capture the bridge until they've had the units on the bridge for a period of time. So they're looking at 1.5 to 2 seconds. So going back to what we had before, but with a twist, which is this cooldown. So basically, what will happen is when you get a unit on the bridge, it won't immediately do anything to it, but after the time, 1.5 or 2 seconds, it will then neutralize the bridge, and if there's nothing else from the opposing side on the bridge, then it will instantly capture it. So similar to what we had before, but not quite the same. So for example, what you used to be able to do is if they had something coming across the bridge, you could play on it, push back onto the bridge, or use your multi-units to grab the bridge, and then even if those units were going to retreat, they would still capture the bridge. But in this situation, that's not something you're going to be able to do because they need to stay on the bridge for the period of time. So I quite like these changes overall. I do think that the backcapping and the collision is should be a part of the game, should be a part of a player's skill set. But I do like this minimum time to capture a bridge, which means that it's not sort of super cheesy where you just play off a grab it with the cheapest card and it doesn't matter what that does. So it's still going to require some thought process because you're going to have to decide whether you're going to commit to being on the bridge for that period of time. And if you're on a bridge having a fight with the opposing team, as long as the cooldown has completed, so that's, as we said here, 1.5 or 2 seconds, then whoever wins that fight, the last man standing on the bridge, will then instantly cap it. So this is kind of a compromise, as they say, between reverting and changing. It's kind of reverting but with a twist. I like the idea of this, definitely would like to try it out and to see. There's going to be some things that need a little bit of adjustment or special rules. Things like the stint that can grab a bridge, that's probably going to have instant bridge grab. Also things like bridge buddies, similar to that. So in that situation, those cards get a slight buff because they can interact with the bridge immediately where others can't. Right, so those are the proposed changes. So really what the devs are asking is for you to give your feedback on what you think these proposed changes are. Are you happy to go ahead with these? You know, ultimately we're the players of the game, and the devs want to keep people interested, and you know, changes are always kind of interesting as well. They also mentioned that this is kind of potentially phase one of a longer term process. So this is not necessarily the final decision. We may get this into the game, and then going forward we may have some further changes as well. Right, so those are the changes. And again, I'll put a link in the description for this survey so you can fill it out. Profile level, what do you think about this proposed solution? From completely unacceptable all the way through to the perfect solution, and a little box there for any other further suggestions or comments. So quite excited to see this, to be honest, as a player. Also pretty surprised, you know, a week or so ago we didn't even have the concept that we could possibly have some changes to the bridge rules, and then suddenly, kind of out of left field, there came a survey, and then, you know, a week or so later, now we've got a proposed solution. So I'm definitely going to give them a thumbs up for this, and be interesting to see what the wider community thinks. So make sure, just like you did the previous survey, fill out this survey, have your say, and help shape the future of the game. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to do. If you want to make sure you stay up to date with everything Minion Masters related, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up is also always appreciated, and let me know in the comments, what are you thinking about these proposed changes. Always good to have a discussion. Lots of discussion going on in the Minion Masters Discord, as always, based on the back of these changes. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'm Bad as a Fish, and I'll see you again soon.